Good afternoon. First, let me tell you that I'm a member of a team and I'm proud of it. So thank you very much for inviting me, Uffe. I will not talk about architecture. I will talk about political space. I will talk how, by intervening into space, you can open new spaces. This was my first point when we met for the first time in February in Copenhagen. I said, you want me to talk about culture, but I will talk about politics. You want me to talk about aesthetics, but I will talk about ethics. And it was very obvious why I was very pissed off then, because the Ministry of Culture of Slovenia was shut up at the moment. It was included into a bigger superstructure of education, higher education, sport, science, everything. Non-manageable structure. So my first slide to show to my colleagues was, no, we'll not talk about political decisions, we'll not talk about Metropolitan Opera, we will talk how the artists in Slovenia reacted to this fact, that overnight an institution can be closed. So I explained to them what this means. It means that the group of avant-garde artists went to the street and they put posters overnight. To understand this poster, you have to know that in the face there is two figures. There is the figure of national poet of Slovenia, a romantic poet, that we put his name, his words on euro, that we put his words in anthem. But there is another shadow there. There's a shadow of the actual Prime Minister, being responsible for closing down the Ministry of Culture. This was just one reaction. The second reaction was, on the day of ceremony of National Awards for Culture, artists came and they were burning their instruments. It was very tough. It was on the eve of the February 8th, which is the national holiday for culture in Slovenia. There was third reaction. It was direct, not dialogue, but quarrel between an actress and the Minister of Culture. So all these three reactions were there, in the air. So you understand why, when we gathered, I wanted to talk about this kind of closing and opening spaces. It was not for the first time. I told to my colleagues that I've been debating this for the last year with different amount of people. And what I really am lucky or happy today is that this arrow turns up now, because the critical mass of the people here is almost 200. And it is different when you have such many people to talk with and to go to change things where they're coming from. So I really think that we are ready to give more or to do more today in Brussels. But since at least three of us that were already in November last year in Bled, Sheila, Elizabeth and Philip, to start and to introduce the artist that I think is moving the frontiers, I will use our sixth point that we said we need artists and cultural actors to enact the ethical responsibilities of leadership. So I have one artist like this to present to you today, and he was there. He was on the street in February this year putting this poster. His name is Dragan Životino. He's an actor, not just this. He's an artist, and he's the leader. Not, as they say, the future leader. He's the leader of the future, because he considered himself as a post-gravity artist. And it's not a joke, because one of his 50 years long-term projects were really performed in the aircraft illusion in a weightless environment, in the zero gravity zone. He came back to tell us how it is up there. But it's not all. You see the name Nordung here. And this is where our battle begins. Nordung was a Slovene-born writer that in 1929 wrote a book called The Problem of Space Travel. This book influenced the geostationary satellites. This book influenced Kubrick to use things to dance in Danube waltz. But this thing influenced a group of Slovene architects to tender for structural funds from European Union, like Doris Pack said in the beginning. And because of this, they were able to conceive this. This is our launching platform. This is a render, but at the end you will see the walls already. This is our launching platform, not for rockets, but for knowledge, for art, for science, for putting things together. It is for the first time that 4 different architectural bureaus were put together their forces, not competing, but cooperating, as Benedetta says, in a cooperative manner, produce something good. So my point, and this is the teacher's part of me that is speaking, I think we should not speak just about fluid ideas. We have to have very, very clear concepts, because they can become the voice of silent ones. It's not about images and corporate images, it's about really particular sharp minds that can see visibility even in the shadow. It is not about worshipping individuals, but about finding solitary stars that if we follow them, they can open up different views to us. And we have spoken a lot around our table about institutions. It's not just about building walls, it's about opening these buildings to reach for new spaces. And believe me, if you do all this, then the impact is tangible, it's material. You create strong collectives and you create commonwealth. So this move from aesthetics to ethics, I wanted to do it in a very childish way. My wish today was that those two men would shake hands together here on the stage. I wanted the so-called super minister, he's called the super minister, because he had education, higher education, sport, culture, and that's it. And science, And the Superman, how I call him, to shake hands here. But not just for the photo opportunity, but to say that this project that is now already built and is to be open in September will live. He's not here, but 2 days ago, while apologizing for not coming here, he said, I support this project, because I believe in Dragan Živatinov, I know how Norden was important, so we have his word. And at the bottom line, it's shake hand between several guys, girls, women, men, putting something together in order to create some commonwealth. So after all this, you understand now why I'm really proud on two things, that these things is being built, and that I can invite to the stage Dragan Živatinov to say a few words. And the Superman will talk about Superwoman. Dragan.
Добрый день. Меня зовут Драган, фамилия Живодинов. Я работник, работаю в искусстве. Я художник и плохо говорим русский язык. My name is Dragan Živatinov. I am worker. I'm working in art. I'm artist. And I really bad speak English. But believe me, I speak perfect suprematistic language. This is Mateja Rebol. She's a prima ballerina. She's a part of 50 years theater performance Nordung, 1995-2045. She will not travel in space without this book. The name of this book, The Problem of Space Travel, Hermann Potočnik, Nordung, 1929. Until today, there was more than 500 astronauts, cosmonauts, and taikonauts in space, but no professional artist. Europe needs artists in space, humanistics in space. Europe needs cultural space program. Thank you.